Hey guys, welcome back to the Foolish Show. Of course, I am Foolish Phil. Just wanted to give you some of my thoughts after Michigan loses to Iowa 88-78. Losing, I don't know what their record in the Big Ten is. It's not great, but 7-13 on the regular season. And if you think about it, they started off I think 3-0, so they've gone 4-13 in the last 17 games, and things are looking pretty poor in Ann Arbor, in the basketball arena at least. So, has been the way games have gone, has been the routine. There's the word I want. Michigan plays a competitive first half. In fact, they were up 44-42, I think it was, and it was a back and forth game. Very, very little defense. Right? We know how much Iowa is known for their stout defense. Very tough defensive team Iowa is, and 44-42, I think it was at halftime. And if you've been watching Michigan or following them in the box scores, they play a good first half, and in the second half, they just fall apart. Again, I think it's just a bad roster mix. It's not a good bench. And, just the stats here. Michigan played four people off the bench. And I think it was Llewellyn, Chase, Cheddar, and Jackson, right? So 4 players off the bench. They combined for 27 total minutes, but that's not a lot when you consider how many minutes are in a game. Time. So 40 times 5, 200 minutes. The bench played 27 total, and they scored 16 points. In the old days, when Michigan had better teams, like Hunter Dickinson, and you had your other good, decent teams, like teams fighting for the NCAA tournament and such, when you had those guys and Jet Howard and such like that, if you needed one guy off the bench to get double figures, and that usually led to a win. So it just tells you how much less this team is now. Even when you get 16 points off the bench, you still got blown up by 10. I mean, the first time Michigan played Iowa, they won by 10. This time they lose by 10. So the bench is just, yeah. I mean, Llewellyn's still coming off his, I think it was ACL, one of his leg tears. He played 5 minutes. Jackson, he got 5 points in 4 minutes. I thought he should have played more. Maybe his defense wasn't up to snuff. I don't know. Jace Howard played a few, but obviously Cheddar led the way. I think 11 minutes for him, and he had 7 points on 3-for-3 shooting. So it's hard to say that the guys aren't playing for bad defense when apparently the people who are out there playing must be playing bad defense because you're blowing games. So it just begs the question again, and that just, why is there not a better bench? And that just points the finger at Coach Howard, that he cannot build a good bench. He has not had a good bench at Michigan since he had Chauncey Brown Jr. coming off the bench. And that year, Michigan went to the Elite Eight, and they lost to UCLA in that game. So Howard has been notorious since he's been at Michigan, in my opinion, of playing his starters too much, and now it's like that's just trickled down, and you have no bench at all, none. And so again, the team gets tired in the second half, and they lose badly. And again, Michigan actually held one stat which I was pleased by is Michigan only turned the ball over 9 times. But remember, Iowa's not a super defensive juggernaut. So it's not like they play really good defense. So maybe having 9 turnovers. I wonder how many Iowa normally forces in a game. And then did Michigan beat that or not? Anyways, back to the game. Outside of the bench, the offense was struggling. At times, Doug McDaniel, he really had an off game, 4 of 13 shooting. He had 13 points, but he's probably not getting in much of any rhythm when he comes. He only plays home games, doesn't play the road games, so you're playing maybe 1 game a week instead of 2. I mean, it's different rhythm. He's practicing, but then he's staying back in Ann Arbor, right? He's not traveling to other games. Let me see here. Also, T-Will, I think, had led the team with 16 points, but 6 of 16 shooting. Kamwa was 5 of 12 shooting. Namiri was 4 of 10 shooting. So, okay shooting, but not enough. The TV broadcast brought up a great stat that Michigan is last in the Big Ten in points per game, allowed at 78, and obviously that was beaten by by the 88 Iowa put up. So that's only going to go up even more. So defense is a problem. The offense is okay, but they still always go in spurts for a while, or I should say not spurts, droughts, where they can't get a bucket. And when you see that, kind of Doug McDaniel kind of has to do hero ball. The defense stiffens up a little bit on him, and Michigan doesn't get good ball rotation, and then Doug McDaniel kind of just dribbles out at the three-point line and then heaves up a shot and hopes it goes in. So, he can't play hero ball. He's not that way yet. He's only, I think, a sophomore, right? Maybe by the time he gets to a senior, maybe. But this team is just in total disarray. As I said, 4-13 the last 17 games. Just got obliterated at Purdue. And I've just been keeping track just for the sake of it. I don't gamble. I just don't do it. But it's like, take anyone against Michigan right now. The team seems to be in a free fall. And apparently CBS Sports had the spread out Michigan by 1 today. And the last game versus Purdue, it was Purdue by like 17, or something like that. And they had a lead bigger than that at halftime. And the other game before that was easy money. I think they were favored by a couple over Maryland or something. And it was like they got smoked. So Michigan's playing pretty poorly right now. And as the season goes on, is Coach Howard going to keep his job? I would have to say Warren Manuel seems to be very much of a slow mover. And I think that's one of his faults, is he takes a long time. I mean, he did that with Pearson in hockey. And he's done that in other sports where he's lost quality coaches to other venues because he doesn't really reward them, right? Bakich, I think it was, Bakich went to, a different school out east for baseball and such. So I think Warren Manuel is not the most proactive athletic director. So I don't know if he's really going to change anything on Juwan Howard. It was reported earlier, I think, by John U. Bacon that Howard has no worries about getting fired this year, that he's got this year as a whatever year, and then next year's kind of the year to settle things. I don't know if that's true or not, but again, Warren Manuel doesn't really do too much. One thing that might get the ball going a little quicker is fan interest. Michigan had a blue out tonight. It looked pretty well attended. Obviously it's hard to see how full the seats really are. I mean, I didn't look at the attendance. But this is an interesting thing. If the fans stop caring, that gets the ball rolling a little bit more. So I just looked at the next couple games here. Michigan hosting Rutgers. Starting ticket price, $4. $4. Then their next home game after that versus Wisconsin, $1 is the starting ticket price. So if you start having fans not caring whatsoever about the game, that means you're losing revenue, Michigan, and that means you got to do something. You got to change something, because ever since Juwan Howard took over and had to start winning with his own players, he took over from Beilein, he had Isaiah Livers, and, you had a good core there, right? Ever since he had to start winning without those guys, with his own players, you added your 5-star guys who were fancy, but they weren't very good team players. As soon as you started adding those guys, it seemed Michigan's just going downhill. And now, no chance of making the tournament this year. No chance of making the NIT this year. And I don't know, how bad is this going to crater? I mean, is Michigan going to get 10 wins this year? 10? I don't know if they're going to get 10 wins. Who can you say, oh yeah, Michigan's going to beat that team? I mean, Michigan's the worst team in the Big Ten. If that doesn't raise some eyebrows, if that doesn't raise some heat on Coach Howard's seat, then something's really wrong, because this is Michigan. I mean, you just can't have that as a Big Ten school, let alone, I mean, I know Michigan's Michigan, but I'm thinking of John Beilein and going to Final Fours and final games and such, and all that good winning, and that's just completely gone so quickly now. Juwan Howard's just kind of seen it just trickle down and be gone. Okay, it's kind of slow, but man, it seems like a slippery thing now. It's almost like a car, right? You get going and speeding up, and now all of a sudden you just keep going faster and faster and faster. It's like, where are you going to hit that cement wall and just be done? I don't know, man. 7 wins on the year. I don't see Michigan getting 10 wins this year. I don't know. Doesn't look good. Hey, guys, another depressing loss, an alarming loss, as Michigan loses another game by double digits. If you have any thoughts, put them in the box below. I'll try to respond as I'm able to. Hey, guys, thanks for watching. And until I see you guys next time, as always, go blue.